The anime begins with Lieutenant Catalina, who is in a hurry trying to escape an airship with a girl named Lyria. While running, some Imperial soldiers try to stop them, but Catalina easily defeats them all with her sword. Lyria is worried, but Catalina tells her everything will be fine, and to keep moving. Eventually, when they reach the other end of the ship, a man named Pomeran stops Catalina and calls out her name. He pulls out a purple crystal, and when Lyria looks at it, the crystal embedded in her chest starts reacting. Catalina tells him to stop, then all of a sudden Pomeran's crystal explodes, and Lyria falls out of the ship. We are then introduced to our main protagonist named Gran, who is cutting up some wood while talking to his friend Aaron, who is sitting in the shade of a tree. A small dragon named Vern comes over with Aaron's father and gives Gran an apple and thanks him for helping. They then notice the huge battleship in the sky, which suddenly explodes, and they see a light falling from the ship and landing in the woods. Watching this, Gran quickly grabs his sword and goes straight over to the forest with Vern. While they were searching for the light in the woods, they found Lyria lying on the ground. When she awakes, she becomes frightened, so Gran tries to comfort her and introduces himself with Vern. Lyria calms down and explains what happened on the ship with Catalina. Then some soldiers spot them and try to capture Lyria. So Gran draws for his sword and protects her by knocking down the two soldiers. One of the soldiers lets off a flare into the sky to call for backup, but Catalina notices the flare and hurries toward the signal to save her. The reinforcements turn up and start chasing them through the woods. Gran asks why they're chasing her, and Lyria told him they're Imperial soldiers from the Empire. The soldiers corner them from every angle, but Catalina shows up just in time and attacks them with her magic powers. Later, Catalina introduces herself to Gran and told him she's also a part of the Empire, but not any longer because of what she's done to them today. She goes on to explain that Lyria is wanted by the Empire, and she was being used as an experiment and was locked in solitary confinement. Catalina thought it was wrong, so she helped her escape. After, Gran tells Catalina that he will help them fight the Empire, and joins them on their quest. But on their way there, Pomeran arrives and blocks their path. Pomeran then summons his four-headed dragon named Hydra. Catalina told him to run, but the dragon targeted Gran and instantly attacked him. The dragon charges towards Gran and knocks him to the ground. He skillfully evades all the fireballs, but eventually finds himself surrounded by flames. Suddenly, the dragon stomps on him, leaving a deep gash in his chest. The others are shocked by what they witness, and Vern starts crying, urging Gran to wake up, but he remains unresponsive. Lyria becomes both sad and furious, realizing the only way to heal Gran is for her to give him half of her power. So she performs a spell that takes her to the afterlife to heal Gran and share her power with him. However, Pomeran uses a gem to disrupt Lyria's power. Despite this interference, Gran still manages to regain consciousness. Pomeran is astonished and asks how Lyria brought him back. Fearing the situation, he commands Hydra to attack Lyria. In that critical moment, Gran and Lyria combine their powers, summoning a legendary dragon named Bahamut. As Bahamut appears, Hydra attacks with fireballs, but it seems ineffective against the mighty dragon. When Hydra ceases its attack, Bahamut gathers a tremendous energy ball and unleashes it, destroying nearly half the forest and wiping out the soldiers below. Witnessing Bahamut's overwhelming power, Pomeran is terrified and orders a retreat. Bahamut emerges victorious, and the dragon's soul enters Lyria's crystal. However, Gran doesn't feel well and collapses to the ground, losing consciousness. He begins to have flashbacks of his childhood, reading his father's letters about the various islands, including the island of wind and fire and the island of astrals, home to all the primal beasts. His friend Eren disputes the existence of these islands, dismissing them as mere fairy tales. Nevertheless, Gran disagrees, expressing his desire to become a Skyfarer like his father and meet the astrals one day. When Gran wakes up, he finds Lyria sitting in his room, hugging him in relief. She's amazed that he's alive and well, without any injuries or marks on his body. When Catalina and Vern join them in the room, Gran inquires about the village and whether anyone else was hurt. Catalina assures him that apart from him, no one in the village was harmed, considering his survival a miracle. She acknowledges that no amount of magic could bring a human back to life, except for Lyria, who possesses such extraordinary power. Catalina informs Gran that the Empire has been investigating the primal crystals to expand their control, and Lyria is crucial to all their research. Despite the Empire's vast resources, they were unable to fully unlock Lyria's power, so they kept her imprisoned until their research was complete. Catalina saved her to offer her a new life, Beyond her captivity, she reveals that Lyria's power originates from a primal crystal, granting her control over primal beasts, relics of the astrals, like the black dragon she summoned earlier, known as Bahamut. Normally, only the astrals can control these beasts, but Lyria can also summon them. Vern is astonished and suggests she might be one of the long-lost legendary astrals. Catalina, however, explains that all the legendary astrals are gone, to which Vern questions what Lyria is if not an astral. Lyria herself admits she has no memory before being captured by the Empire, and only knows that she wanted to save and revive Gran when he was hurt. Due to the combination of their life forces, Gran cannot be too far away from Lyria now that they are connected as one. Catalina urges Gran to join them to escape the Empire's soldiers, and their plan is to reach the island of Astrals, where they believe they can find a cure for Lyria's power. Mention of the island of Astrals fills Gran with excitement, as his father had told him about it when he was younger, though others dismissed it as mere fantasy. That night, Gran announces his departure to his village, and while some warn him about the dangers of the island of Astrals, he remains resolute, stating that his destiny lies with Lyria. The following morning, he meets with the others to embark on their journey in Catalina's old aircraft. During the flight, the aircraft experiences sudden instability, and they end up crash landing on an island called Angona. Soon, a man named Rackham spots their crash and inspects Catalina's vessel. He informs them that their ship has been completely wrecked and won't fly again. After the inspection, he advises them to undergo proper flight training and then leaves with his bag. Later, Catalina takes everyone to the town where Gran purchases a new sword, and Lyria acquires a diary to document their adventures. The following day, Catalina argues with the receptionist at the airship station, who informs her that all the ships are sold out, and the next one will be available in a few days. Gran notices a colossal airship landing outside the station and expresses his long-held desire to fly a ship like that. Rackham reappears and introduces himself. He takes them to his workshop, where he shows them their damaged airship, which he is currently repairing. Suddenly, two spies from the Empire, Drang and Strum, appear. Drang tries to deceive them by offering a spare airship and fresh apples, but accidentally reveals Lieutenant Catalina's name during a sentence, making everyone more cautious. With Rackham's help, they attempt to escape, but Drang and Strum give chase. In an alley, Gran draws his sword and prepares to fight, but a mysterious lady from above comes to his aid. Rackham finds them and leads them through secret tunnels back to Catalina. While sitting with Catalina and the others, Gran informs her about the Empire's spies who tried to capture them. Catalina deduces that they must be secret agents working for the Empire, and realizes the place is not safe. Gran suggests leaving the island immediately, but Catalina explains that all the flights are booked, and they lack the funds to buy a new airship. During their conversation, a girl named CeeLo appears, claiming to be the bar owner and offers to help them with their problems. Lyria is surprised by her small stature, but CeeLo explains that she belongs to a different race called the Harbin, which is why she appears small. Catalina asks CeeLo if she can assist them in finding an airship, but she responds that all the Skyfarers are currently unavailable for hire. However, she does have an old airship for sale, which she deems too expensive for them, and they also lack someone to pilot the ship. The nearby people overheard their conversation and mentioned a retired helmsman named Rackham who might be able to help them fly the ship. So, Gran and the others set out to find Rackham and ask him to be their helmsman. As they approach his ship, they notice General Furias, a Harbin leading some Empire soldiers nearby. Catalina suggests hiding in a building until Furias leaves, but Furias detects their movement and destroys the building they are in. Observing this, Rackham uses his sniper skills to shoot at the soldiers, and he signals Gran with a shot to indicate a secret underground path. They meet Rackham, enter the underground tunnel, and he leads them back to his house. At Rackham's house, he inquires about their presence near his ship. Gran explains that they were looking for him to be their helmsman. However, Rackham reveals that he cannot leave without his beloved ship named Grand Cypher. He has been building Grand Cypher his whole life, and after it broke down, he stopped flying altogether, remaining loyal to his creation. Gran understands his sentiment and smiles. Catalina spots Furias leaving the area, declaring it safe to leave. Gran informs Catalina about hearing General Furias' plan to destroy the whole island. Catalina suggests warning everyone in the city and evacuating the island. As they prepare to depart, Rackham decides to join them. On their way back to the city, they encounter the Empire's two spies again. Drang attempts to lure them with an offer of an airship and a bag of apples, but Catalina sees through their true intentions. which is to imprison Lyria again. When Catalina declines their offer, Drang initiates a fight with his magic powers. Rackham retaliates with his own attacks, and Gran employs his sword against Drang. However, their powers seem insufficient against Drang's abilities. Suddenly, the weather worsens, and a tornado storm begins to form. Drang and Strum quickly retreat due to the hazardous conditions. Afterward, they seek refuge in the city hall, where many people are taking shelter. The storm is wreaking havoc on their homes, prompting Rackham to urge everyone to evacuate the island immediately. A man offers a big enough ship, but the helmsman is severely injured, and there is no one else who can fly the ship. Rackham volunteers to be the helmsman and takes control of the ship, reassuring everyone that he's accustomed to flying in such weather conditions. They head to the airship with a small group to get it started. Suddenly, General Furious destroys their last airship, warning them that Tiamat, the goddess of wind, will bring destruction to the entire island and unleash her primal beast upon them. Lyria believes she can stop Tiamat with her powers but needs to get closer to her. Rackham takes a chance with Grand Cypher, hoping the ship might be waiting for such an opportunity. He pleads with the ship to start up one last time and succeeds. As they reach a high altitude, they encounter the corrupted primal beast Tiamat under the control of General Furious. Lyria tries to communicate with Tiamat using the primal crystal, but fails as an infected crystal, placed by the Empire, is corrupting her mind. Lyria asks Gran to destroy the corrupt crystal using the power of Bahamut. After gaining Bahamut's power, Gran jumps off the ship, activates his sword ability, and destroys the crystal, restoring Tiamat to her normal state and saving the island. Tiamat brings Gran back to the ship and gives Lyria a gift before vanishing. Later, during their meal, Lyria reveals the gift from Tiamat, and when both she and Gran touch it, they see visions of a volcano and a giant broken-down factory. Silo is astonished and identifies it as a piece of a sky map. Catalina informs them that the sky map fragments are needed to reach their destination. That night, Gran visits Rackham and asks him to be their helmsman. When Gran expresses his desire to visit the island of Astrals, Rackham is surprised and asks for the reason. Gran shows Rackham the letter his father sent him when he was younger, revealing that his father is waiting for him on the island of Astrals. Rackham admits he didn't know the place actually exists, and agrees to be their helmsman. The next day, they set off towards their destination, arriving at the first location called Vaults to gather supplies, known for its abundant steel, armor, and food. However, they notice that the town appears deserted, with no one around, but the shops are still stocked with items. After entering a restaurant, they encounter a man who claims to be a secret agent working for the government of Vaults. He was impressed by Grand and his group's feat of saving the city of Port Breeze from Tiamat's storms. He seeks their help to find a missing person, the Archduke of Vaults. He explains that if news of the Archduke's disappearance spreads, it would cause despair in the whole city. Hence, he needs a third party to discreetly find him without the city being aware. Grand agrees to the request, and they set out to find the Archduke. The next day, they inquire around Vaults for information about the Archduke. While asking, they notice someone spying on them and eavesdropping on their conversations. After speaking with various citizens, they realize that the Archduke is beloved by everyone, and riots may erupt if he isn't found soon. Later, while investigating an abandoned factory, Catalina senses that they are being followed. She recognizes it as the same person from yesterday due to the magical traces of their footsteps. Suddenly, they hear a girl screaming and find her being attacked by goblins. They quickly come to her aid, and Grand asks her name. She introduces herself as Io, a mage of Vaults, and explains that she has been following them because she also seeks the Archduke, who is her mentor in the magical arts. She describes the Archduke as a brilliant magician who can create amazing structures and machines. He disappeared when the Empire's people showed up. Grand shares the locations they've gathered, and one of them sounds familiar to Io. They decide to investigate that location. They arrive at a massive cave, and Io senses a secret entrance concealed by magic. Inside the hidden laboratory, they begin searching for the Archduke. Lyria senses something within the lab. Suddenly, the two spies from the Empire appear and reveal that the place was first discovered by the Astrals, and what Lyria is sensing is the primal beasts. Meanwhile, a girl is seen walking with the supreme advisor of the Empire, known as the Black Knight, the strongest imperial knight in the kingdom. Catalina is shocked by this revelation and questions why the Black Knight is present. The spies explain that they are also searching for the Archduke, as he agreed to collaborate with the Empire on a joint project involving primal crystals. However, the Duke took all the research for himself and placed the crystal inside one of his giant machines. Upon leaving, a mechanical monstrosity emerges behind them, and Io informs them that the machine must be one of the Archduke's creations, with his magic powers controlling it. Io pleads with her master to stop the machine, but it ignores her and attacks her. Thankfully, Gran intervenes just in time to save her. Rackham shoots at the monster, and they all make their way to an escape route. After escaping, Lyria reveals that she keeps hearing a voice ever since the mechanical monster appeared. They continue their investigation and explore other parts of the laboratory, eventually coming across a mysterious room with another giant machine, where they encounter the Archduke. However, Io notices that he is acting strangely, and his eyes flash red, indicating a bad sign. The Archduke seems to have forgotten who Io is and appears to be under some kind of influence. They try to communicate with him, but he explains that his work is not yet complete, and he needs to awaken the true power of the Iron Giant, for which he requires the power of Lyria's primal crystal. The Empire spies, along with the girl controlling the Black Knight, observe the situation from afar. They use the girl's power to awaken the Archduke's creation and attack Gran and the group. The Iron Giant becomes active and follows the Duke's commands to attack them, leading them to engage in a fierce battle. However, the mech proves to be much stronger than they expected, making it challenging to defeat. Io becomes angry at her master for turning against her and uses the magic he taught her to bring the mech down. Despite their efforts, the Colossus rises again, prompting them to unite as a team and use their abilities in unison to defeat the giant mech. After their victory, Io approaches the Archduke and uses her magic to bring him back to his senses and remove the evil curse placed on him by the Empire. She tears up as he remembers her, and a flashback reveals Io's past when she lost her parents to a disease epidemic, leaving her to live alone until the Archduke took her in and treated her like his own daughter. He was kind and even instructed her in magic, making her feel happy despite her past. Afterward, Io inquires about their next plans now that they've found the Archduke, and Gran informs her that they will continue their journey to the island of Astrals. The next day, they prepare to depart for their next destination and bid farewell to the people of Vaults. To their surprise, Io announces that she will be traveling with them, as she has always desired to explore the other islands and meet the Astrals. While traveling, they come across some ruins and decide to venture inside for exploration. However, the ground suddenly gives way, and they fall into the depths of the ruins, splitting the team into two groups. They find themselves in a secret underground area. In the tunnels, Catalina easily dispatches a bat with her sword. On the other side, Gran notices water rushing towards them, but Io uses her mage powers to create a protective tornado. Catalina safeguards them from hidden traps, and with the help of Vern, rescues Lyria just in time. Lyria senses Gran's location through the crystal, but she acknowledges that Gran might not experience the same connection due to her stronger powers. Suddenly, they hear an explosion and encounter two new characters, Marion and Carva, who are also exploring the ruins in search of buried treasure. A sand creature guards the treasure and attacks them, but Gran and his group arrive to assist just in time. They devise a plan to defeat the powerful sand creature, and Gran uses a fireball to vanquish it. Defeating the creature opens a secret door, revealing the treasure of the ruins, including a special sword that emits a bright light when Gran holds it. The sword transports them outside the ruins. The ruins then vanish, disappointing Marion and Carva for not obtaining any treasure. Later, Lyria has a distressing vision where her friends are dead and encounters another version of herself. Thankfully, she wakes up, realizing it was only a nightmare. The following morning, they embark on their journey and reach an uninhabited island. Lyria senses something on the island, so they investigate further and explore its depths. They encounter some people, and a man named Eugene recognizes Rackham from Port Breeze. He introduces himself to the group and explains that their island is currently at war with the Empire. He leads them to the city, and upon arrival, they are amazed by its beauty, surprised that such a city is at war. A man in the city reports being attacked by a monster, and Lyria heals his injuries using her magic powers. They proceed to purchase supplies from the town stores, during which Gran spots a blue necklace and gifts it to Lyria. As this occurs, they notice a hooded figure watching them. Gran then realizes he forgot something important at the store and rushes back, but upon his return, Lyria is missing. She has been captured by the hooded individual who was following them, using a purple gem to block her powers and prevent her escape. Gran attempts to chase them down, but he's not fast enough, and the hooded man escapes on a boat with Lyria. Simultaneously, the city faces invasion from Empire ships. The man who took Lyria is Pomeran, and he threatens the citizens. Lyria pleads with him to stop, but he silences her and breaks the necklace Gran gave her. He reveals to Lyria that she is merely an experiment of the Empire, and admonishes her for making friends. Gran finds Lyria and attempts to take on the Imperial Guards. Struggling, he summons a giant water dragon that attacks the Empire ships. Just before Pomeran eliminates Lyria, Gran manages to knock Pomeran down. However, they realize that the sea dragon has caused a tsunami that is about to engulf the entire city. However, a girl named Rosetta intervenes and saves them all using her magical abilities. After the waves strike Lyria, she loses consciousness and fails to wake up. Gran and Catalina remain by her side, caring for her. While tending to her, Catalina reveals to Gran the truth about Lyria's powers. She discloses that the Empire utilized her as an experimental weapon and accidentally summoned an unknown creature from within her. A creature capable of overpowering the Empire and bringing devastation to their kingdom. As a result, they imprisoned Lyria to prevent the creature from being unleashed. They head to the island of Astrals to revive and awaken her. There, they encounter a colossal tree, and Rosetta explains that they can use the tree's magic to bring Lyria back to life. When she awakens, Lyria explains that she experienced a dark slumber and was anxious about the awakening of the creature's power. She feared that no one would be able to stop it once unleashed, and this also awakened the giant sea dragon. Instantly, Gran unleashes all his power to confront and defeat the dragon with his sword. Thus, the anime concludes. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment as it greatly helps us. Thank you.